Hi everybody. I had a request to work through numbers 3 and 18. So I'm going to do that. This is from the Big Ideas Math, Algebra 2, the linear regression that we've been working on with the bouncing ball. What we're doing in this assignment is 3B, and then we're also doing number 18. So we need to get our calculator, and we need to put this data into our calculator. So I'm going to switch over my calculator. In your calculator, the first step is to go to the Stat button and then hit Enter to choose Edit. And you have this L1, L2. You probably have old data in your L1, L2, so you need to clear it out. To clear it out, you arrow up to L2 or L1, whichever, and you hit Clear, and then you go down, and then you go over to the other one, and you go up, you hit Clear, and you go down. Now you have a fresh screen that you can enter your data. And so I need to put this data into my calculator. The L1 is the X column, the L2 is the Y column. So I'm going to enter these numbers into my X and Y columns. Okay, when you have it entered, make sure that they're even. If your columns are not even, you've made a mistake, and your calculator is going to give you an error message down the road. So let's just make sure they're even. If they're not even, go back and look at the page and see where did you mess up. All right, once we have our data in, then we need to store our data and we need to look at our scatter plot and all that. So to do that, we're going to go back to the Stat button. This time we're going to choose Calc. So we right arrow to Calc, and we want to choose linear regression, that's 4. Your X list should say L1, your Y list should say L2. Frequency list, we're going to leave that off. We need to store our equation. The equation gets stored in the Y sub 1. To get there, you go to vars, which is kind of here by the cursor, vars, over to Y vars, and now you're going to hit enter a couple times. So enter, enter, and now here we are on this screen. We're going to hit enter 2 more times. Enter, enter. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to write these numbers down. I should round out to maybe the hundredths or thousandths place. Once you have them written down, we're going to go to our next step. One thing is we could go to the Y equals button right now. Let's go to Y equals. And we have this equation. The thing is they have all those decimals, and I said just to round it off. So like on your paper, you should have written 3.05. That's what they have here. 3.05x plus 63 and we would have to scroll all the way over, but it should be 63.53. To see this graphed, we have to go to Zoom. Even if we already did Zoom 9, we have to do Zoom 9 again because we have new data. So we're going to go to Zoom 9, and it's graphing our line. Okay, it's done. Now, let's look at the PDF. It says, use the linear regression feature, we did that, to find an equation. You know what, let's go ahead and write down that equation. That's going to be part of, you're going to turn this in, right? And there's not a whole lot of work to show, but one thing we are going to show is this equation. Okay, so I'm going to write this down on my notebook paper. This is my equation. The next question says to estimate the height of a female whose humerus is 40 centimeters long. If I look back up at my table, the humerus, that was the X value. So I need to go in and I need to plug in 40 here and work it out. Okay, when I plug that into my calculator, I get 185.53. So the height, the estimated height of a person whose humerus was 40 is 185 centimeters tall. That's all you need to do on question number 3B. There is a way to plug this in directly into your calculator without typing all those numbers, but for this example, we're just going to stick there because it would be too difficult on this example. We'll do another one later that we can see it though. Let's move on to number 18. All right, for number 18, once again, we need to enter this table. So we have to clear out all of our old data and put this one in. So I'm going to go back to Stat, Edit. I'm going to go up and clear, down, over, up, and clear, and down. I'm going to put the X's in my L1. I'm going to put the Y's in my L2. Okay, I've got my numbers in. It says to write the equation of a line, so I'm going to have to go and do all that on my calculator. I'm going to go to Stat, Calc, 4. I'm going to go down to Store. I'm going to go to Vars, YVars, Enter, 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 Enter. I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to write this down, carrying it out to the hundredths or thousandths place. Okay, so I wrote down my digits, and I'm going to say that my equation is negative 6.20x plus 548.73. I need to write that down on my paper because I'm going to submit this paper. Then, does it seem reasonable to use your model to predict the number of tickets sold when the ticket price is $85 and explain? Well, I don't know. Ticket price is $85, ticket price is X. Let me take a minute to plug it in. Okay, I made a mistake when I first entered it in, so now I have it as negative 6.2, which is what it's supposed to be, and it comes down to 21.73. Okay, when I plug that in, I get 21.73 tickets sold. The question was, is that reasonable? Well, you know, I don't particularly like this question. I wish I'd picked a different question. There's nothing wrong with 21.73. Some people I know would say, you can't have 0.73 of a ticket. That's true. That's true. Well, then let's just say 22 instead. 22 tickets sold, okay? That's fine. However, the problem is, if we're selling these tickets at these prices and we're selling 400 something tickets, does it make sense that we're only going to sell 22 tickets? I think there's something wrong with your business model, mainly. I mean, what the book is trying to say is that seems way too low because on these other nights you're selling 450 tickets, etc. And why would you drop down to 22? So that's the point that they're trying to make, is that 22 is just way out of line. It doesn't make sense. And that is what happens sometimes. Because like this, it's the negative here that's doing that. It's true that the higher the price gets, the fewer you're going to sell. But at some point, there might be a leveling off, that no matter what the price, at least 300 people are going to go. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what the question is asking. That's how I would interpret it. But what we really need to know is that there's 22 tickets sold. We will continue to work on problems like this the next couple of days.